What's up, Michigan State fans? It's Jacob Katsunicki here, back for a game day edition here of the Michigan State Spartans Insider Podcast. We are taking you here pregame thoughts on Michigan State's big football game, homecoming against the UCLA Bruins. Again, a very, very interesting game for two teams that haven't really had amazing seasons. MSU's 3-1, but 0-2 in Big Ten play. UCLA, they're 1-4. They got that crazy win against Penn State, but they were 0-4 before that for a reason. Some tough losses, real tough losses for them to start their year. So we're going to kind of go through this game, just kind of step by step. I already made my prediction for the final score of this one. If you did not watch that, it was Michigan State 31, UCLA 21. That was the final one I came with. I originally said 38-27, but I don't think the same score is going to happen in two MSU games in a row. So we went with 31-21 Michigan State, getting a much-needed win. Why I think that after UCLA beat Penn State? To some level, it's kind of just a regression to the mean type of thing. For UCLA, looking at all their stats, I don't know how much I buy into you just become a new team with the head coach gone. I don't know if I buy that. I just think it was I don't want to say it was a fluke win against Penn State. They were doing great things that entire game. But they didn't just make a bunch of fluke plays where they got lucky over and over and over again and ended up winning in the end. They played well, but before that, they never played a good game, so I think eventually you kind of see Michigan State get to them, because it's a 9 a.m. game. In Michigan State's favor as well, it's a 9 a.m. game as far as Pacific time goes. First noon game in Spartan Stadium in a long time. MSU did not play a noon game last year. This is the first one of this year, and very well could maybe be one, if not one of the only ones, because the one against Indiana is at 3:30. The Michigan game's after that. We'll see what time that one is, but again, Michigan State hasn't had the kindest kickoff times for a little bit. They get a noon one of all teams against a team from the West Coast. But before UCLA beat Penn State and became the darlings of college football heading into this one, just brutal result after brutal result. Opened up the year, 43-10 loss to Utah. Utah's a good team, a decent team in the Big 12. That one was at the Rose Bowl, so getting stomped on your own turf, even against Utah again. But I can kind of forgive it because Utah's a decent Big 12 team. It's one of the better programs in that conference right now. They lost to UNLV on the road 30-23. Group of 5 team, never good to lose to a group of 5 team, but it's a more forgivable one as far as that goes because it was on the road. And UNLV, I believe, is undefeated, 5-0. They are still looking. They haven't lost a game yet. Still, the bad one was 35-10 against New Mexico at home. New Mexico played Michigan a bit tough, actually, in their season opener. That game was semi-close for a little bit. Michigan was never in any danger, but to lose by 25 to them, I believe, I'm trying to think back watching that Michigan-New Mexico game, I think they said New Mexico probably had 70 or 80 new players this season because they had a coaching change and everything, a lot of portaling in and out, that type of thing. That one's rough. That's when they decided to fire their permanent head coach, Deshaun Foster, and have Tim Skipper, the interim, move on up there. Northwestern Big Ten opener. It's in their temporary stadium on the shores of Lake Michigan. 17-14. Northwestern had a 17-0 lead in that one, and then just kind of held on for dear life. Credit to UCLA's defense for not giving up anything in the second half, but still, Northwestern. I mean, it's on the road, cross country, not exactly a pretty sleepy environment probably in a temporary stadium. And then you have the Penn State game, which, again, I still don't know how that truly happened. Credit to UCLA, but it's just, you look at those 4 games, and it's just, you even with the Penn State, with the W by it, you just can't think, I can't bring it to myself to legitimately think UCLA is going to win this game because you look at the stats, and there's a lot of triple digits being allowed for UCLA. Their offense is ranked 103rd in the country. Michigan State's offense hasn't been great, but it's been slightly better than that as far as yardage goes. The scoring offense below 20 points a game. Michigan State's a little bit above 30 points a game. Their defense is allowing 32 points a game. Michigan State's defense hasn't been much better than that, but still better. So again, Michigan State has the advantage in both yardage and points, offensively and defensively. Just off rip, that should really be enough to tell you, even with the Penn State game, yeah, Michigan State's probably the better team in this one. They have a better roster than UCLA. Outside of Yamaliava, there's not a whole lot of names that are that truly impressive you. Maybe Gilmer, their top wide receiver, he's a guy that Michigan State secondary is going to need to look out for. But there's so many stats just on their NCAA page I'm looking at right here. It's just hundreds. Let's see, their third down, when Michigan State's on third down, they went 2 for 14 on third down against Nebraska. I don't think they're going to do that again this time because, one, UCLA's rushing defense is dead last in the Big Ten in terms of yardage per game and on a per-rush basis. So, here, again, before they played Penn State, they didn't lead for a single second. Not 1 second did they have a lead, and then they beat Penn State without trailing in that game. Again, college sports are weird. Weird stuff happens, but that rushing statistic really is something to me because not only is UCLA not stopping the run just generally, they're probably not stopping it when they know the runs are happening. Because again, they had never had a lead through 4 games, and they're still on a per rush basis. They're still allowing the most yards per carry. It's a little more than 5 per carry on the ground. If Michigan State can't run the ball on the Bruins, they got a real problem. They should have been able to run it on Nebraska. The stats aren't great for Nebraska's rushing defense either. But that didn't happen. They averaged a little more than 2 yards a carry, so they really need a bounce-back performance from the offensive line. Need to see probably a big game from Mekhi Frazier here in this one for Michigan State. You'd like to see Tullis have another nice game. Has been a little bit quieter since week 1. Had a nice game against Western Michigan. But on third downs, that's what I was getting to. UCLA is allowing their opponents to convert on third down 56% of the time. 134th in FBS. I can't remember exactly how many teams that is out of. Let's see. I have the stats pulled up. Yeah, it's dead last. The worst third down defense in college football, just statistically. So if you struggle on third down, that's going to be another real big problem. Dead last in 134 complete FBS teams. I think there's really 136, but I don't think the NCAA includes the newer teams where Missouri State and Delaware. I don't think they include them in the stats until they gain full membership or something. So yeah, you got to be able to do better on third down as well, and that starts with running the ball, getting shorter, closer to the sticks, because again, Michigan State was well behind the 8 ball in terms of being on schedule against Nebraska. The average third down distance was 8.5 yards. That number should be a lot smaller against a UCLA rushing defense that has struggled all season long, and their secondary hasn't been great either. They're technically 26th in the country in passing yards allowed per game, and that may be the most deceiving statistic I've seen as far as covering a Michigan State game yet, because I go back to the point, they were trailing. They were doing nothing but losing through 4 games, so teams didn't have much of a reason to throw the ball on them, so they simply didn't throw the ball, because teams that are winning tend to run the ball a lot more. That goes back to the rushing thing. In terms of efficiency, it's 131st. In the FBS, so 4th worst in the entire FBS, just on a per pass, just how efficient opposing quarterbacks are against them. So look for Aiden Childs to have another great game. UCLA's pass rush is dreadful. 5 sacks in 5 games. Their best pass rusher is former Michigan State Spartan Anthony Jones at 1.5 sacks. He's played 4 games. He missed that game against Penn State. So we'll see if he plays against Michigan State. There's 2 Spartans, former Spartans playing for UCLA now. There's a couple more connections. I wrote an article on that earlier this week. The other one's Jalen Berger, who's UCLA's 3rd running back on their depth chart. And if you go by carries, there's a couple other former MSU commits, LaRue Zamorano. He left when Demetrius Martin left for UCLA. And then there's also Henry Hasselback, son of Tim Hasselback, but again, after the Mel Tucker coaching change, going to Jonathan Smith, he decommitted and went to Michigan State, and that's one where you can hardly fault the kid, So, again, more 100-yard, stats where there's just no stat here that pops out. They're like, oh, the UCLA's great. They haven't failed to score in the red zone. That's nice. But still, they have, how many red zone opportunities are we talking here? Because again, they're averaging less than 20 points a game. So like again, it's just Michigan State needs to win this game. If they don't, things are going to get it's going to be a real interesting outlook on the rest of the season, and not in a good way. So again, I'll be at the game on Saturday. This will go up on Saturday. Noon kickoff at the game coverage. We'll have all the content possible for you guys after that game. Continue to check in here and go to SpartanNation.com for more comprehensive coverage of your Michigan State Spartans. And once again, I'm Jacob Katzanika. I'll see you guys around.